Canadians can't afford a bigger bite off their paychecks. Will the Prime Minister cancel his tax hikes on Canadian paychecks?
If Canadians had followed the advice of the Leader of the Opposition and invested in volatile cryptocurrencies in an attempt to, quote, opt out of inflation, they would have lost half of their savings.
Will it be a battle of the titans between Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau this year? Well, that's one thing that we're looking at in 2023. Joining me now to talk about that, fellow Toronto Sun columnist Warren Kinsella. Warren, just before Christmas, Justin Trudeau gave that speech in Gatineau. He was talking to the Liberal Christmas party, the assembled faithful, and sounded like a man ready to go.
We're all doing this work, and we know there's much more to be done. But no matter what the challenges are, we won't be giving up.
There's no chance this guy's taking a walk in the snow this winter, is there?
Doesn't look like it, and the one thing we know about him, I think he's been a pretty lousy prime minister, but he's a hell of a campaigner. And, Conservatives' mistake is always they seem to underestimate him. I haven't seen Poilievre do that yet. And, I think that he's learned enough the hard way. There goes, that's the ambulance chasing after Jagmeet Singh to see where Jagmeet Singh is gone.
When I'm Prime Minister, I will keep my promises.
And actually, that's one of the points that I wanted to make. Jagmeet Singh has been basically taken over by the Liberal Party of Canada. The NDP, I think, to all extents and purposes, doesn't exist. That is Justin Trudeau's biggest asset. Not only does it keep his minority government, turns it effectively into a majority, I think he's just eaten the NDP vote. If you look at Mississauga Lakeshore, the PPC, had a couple hundred votes, but the NDP was wiped out as well.
They were below 5%, weren't they?
Yeah, and so it was really a contest between the Tories and the Liberals. Liberal candidate Charles Sousa clobbered the Conservative candidate, but I think a big part of that is in order for Poilievre to be competitive, he desperately needs the NDP and the Liberals to split the so-called progressive vote. And if Singh continues to flame out in the way he's doing, it looks pretty good for Trudeau.
Let me ask you about that before we talk about Poilievre quick, and that is the NDP takeover by the Liberals. Provincially in Ontario, the Liberals are on life support. The NDP has been the official opposition after the last two elections. You go to Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, Liberal parties don't really exist. I know there's BC Liberals, although they're now BC United, and you have to learn a soccer chant if you're going to vote for them. But, they were a free market coalition party. There is this battle, what happens to provincial Liberals. It looks like Justin Trudeau looked at that and said, I'm not going to let that happen to me. I'm going to take over the NDP, which doesn't help centrist Liberal voters. They have to migrate or flip back and forth. But is that a winning strategy for Trudeau, is going further to the left, growing his party back by taking over the Dippers?
Well, I'm a Chrétien liberal, as you know. I was a special assistant, full disclosure. And no, I don't like it. Anybody I know who was a Chrétien liberal has left the Liberal Party of Canada because it feels like the NDP. It doesn't feel like the Liberal Party anymore. However, Trudeau has figured out a way to make it work. At the provincial level, as you point out, when Wynne went so far to the left and Stephen Del Duca did the same thing, I think voters kind of said, well, I have a choice between the real NDP or the make-believe NDP. I'm going to go for the real one. Mm-hmm. Why that hasn't happened at the federal level, I think, is because Trudeau has been skillful, let's give him credit, at suppressing the NDP by scaring the NDP voters about the Tories. This is why I thought Poilievre was so mistaken to get so close to the convoy. You and I both seen the numbers. The convoy people are loud and proud, but they're not the majority. The majority of Canadians disapproved of what took place in Ottawa and the Windsor border.
Especially in swing ridings in suburbs, whether it's Vancouver, Toronto, Ottawa, Winnipeg. these things become a third rail. They become dangerous for the Conservatives, and those are areas that they need to win. How does Pierre Poilievre win without alienating any of his base? Because we saw that during the leadership, the people supporting him said, we don't want a red Tory anymore, and suddenly Andrew Scheer and Aaron O'Toole were considered red Tories. How does he win over those swing voters without losing the people that gave him the leadership?
Like James Carville famously said in 1992, it's the economy, stupid. It's the economy. It's the economy. It's economy. At the end of the day, people vote. After 9/11, they were preoccupied, understandably, with terrorism, so they voted for George W. Bush. There's kind of episodic events that happen in politics that guys like you and I write about. But the big issue all the time is the economy. And right now, the economy is in the crapper. And whether we're in a recession officially or not, I think most Canadians feel we are. Nobody can afford to get a steak, and everybody's questioning what kind of Christmas dinner they're going to have. That is Poilievre's strength. To me, the answer is he needs to keep doing what he's doing, which is zero in, like rigorously, stubbornly on the economy, because it is a weakness for Trudeau. Trudeau clearly has no answers about how to deal with the cost of living issue, and Poilievre seems to. I think that's how he wins the election when the election takes place.
All right, let us know what you think, and thank you, Warren, for your wise words. Drop a comment down below, share this on social media, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.